let's turn this frown upside down. No, that's not gonna work. Hi, I'm John, and today I'm making a Super Saiyan 4 Rosé Goku Black by cutting, sculpting, and combining this Super Saiyan Rosé Full Power Goku and this bootleg Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Goku. And let's not waste any time and get right to it. As soon as I took this apart, I noticed this wasn't going to be a simple head swap. The face plate and hair attached to the neck on the Super Saiyan 4 Goku head, while the entire head comes off on the Super Saiyan 3. My initial plan was to cut off the entirety of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku Black's neck and replace it with the Super Saiyan 4 piece, and hide the seam with the fur that I'm sculpting. But after doing some cutting, it looks like it ain't budging, signaling that this was pretty much a solid piece of plastic. So plan number 2 is to trim the neck here and do the same on the Super Saiyan 4 head piece, making sure all the hair connectors are still intact. After making a few small adjustments, I used some hot glue to get the initial connection between the two necks, with the face and hair attached to make sure everything fits and that he's looking the right way in the end. Once everything was in the right place, I drilled a hole in between the two pieces, and then inserted an armature wire piece to make sure the joint was secure. To blend the necks, I trimmed the pieces down for a rough fit, and then I filled in all the open areas with some epoxy sculpt. I even resculpted the back of the neck, even though no one will see it. But at least I know that you'll know. While that cures, let's turn our attention to the head. While bootlegs are an awesome source of parts, sometimes there are some imperfections, including some big seam lines and some sloppy paint applications, particularly on this hair piece, so I sanded it down as best as I could. And while I was at it, his face plate needed a little bit of work. The cheeks and chin were a little bit puffy, so using some coarse sandpaper, I managed to make it a little bit more angular and slimmer in the jawline. Then I cut out the mouth to give Goku Black his iconic aura farming grid. I filled in the gap with some epoxy sculpt and sculpted in the basic shape of the smirk. And I'll let that set for a bit so I can build on top of it later. In the meantime, I added this little boop to his nose because I noticed it looked a little flat, probably because it's a bootleg. Then I went back down to the mouth to add in some lips. I also added some extra wrinkles at the edges of his smirk. And for a little bit of extra flavor, I added in a wrinkle at the top of his nose bridge. Moving down to the body, it was time to add in some fur. I added epoxy sculpt along each piece of the muscle definition to help maintain the separation of the muscle fibers. Then I took a sculpting tool and repeatedly jabbed it to add some texture. Something that I did a little different this time was doing an additional pass with a soft silicone sculpting tool, hopefully giving it a better fur-like texture. Let me know what you think in the comments. The tolerances where the hair touches the back was relatively tight, and I had to make sure that I had room for the hair before doing any sculpting work. Otherwise, the hair would no longer fit on the peg correctly. I pressed the hair into the epoxy sculpt, and once I got an accurate imprint of the hair, I continued to sculpt around it. And the last step of prep is to sand everything down to make sure all of my sculpt lines are smooth. Before I get to painting, I wanted to show off and have you guess in the comments what customs I may make for my latest haul from today's sponsor, JP Fans. JP Fans is a proxy service that orders items on your behalf from Japanese marketplaces, stores it in their warehouse for 30 days, and when you're ready to ship, they send it to you. The first one I have here is a Masterlized Ultra Instinct Goku that I grabbed for $18.10 before shipping and handling. Next up, another Super Saiyan 3 Rosé Full Power Goku. What can I possibly use this for? Next up, this set of Piccolo and 2 Gohans for a whopping $41 pre-shipping. Next up is the Masked Saiyan Rosé Goku. This one is going to be used for something a few y'all asked for, but I'm not sure you'll get it. And lastly, these 2 Vegetas. I'll let you know now, I don't have any plans for this one yet, but this one, I've heard you loud and clear. And the reason why I have all these bundled together is that it's cheaper to send a bunch of orders in one package up to a certain weight, rather than shipping each individual order separately from Japan. Sign up through my link and you'll get 15% off shipping coupon, plus additional coupons that'll save you up to $86 in international shipping. It's a no-brainer. Check out the link below or scan the QR code to save more. Thanks to JP Fans for sponsoring today's video. And now, it's prime time. I primed the hair and the sculpted neck with some filler primer, just in case I may have missed a spot during sanding. Then, like the past couple Super Saiyan 4s I've done, I primed the fur in red just to make sure I fill in all the nooks and crannies. But this time, since I'm making the fur pink, I sprayed another layer of white primer on top to give me an easier canvas to work with. I started the shading layer of his fur with some magenta. Then I went over the fur's blending layer with some Kaleido pink. I plan to do his hair one shade lighter than his fur, so I used the same pink as the shading layer for his hair. Then I used a lighter shade of pink as the highlight layer on his fur, and then used it as the blending layer on his hair. I realized at this point that his hair was a little bit too purplish in tone for a rosé hair color, so I added a little bit more red and orange to the mix to make it warmer pink, and lightly sprayed it on the entire hair. And lastly, I added some almost white highlights at the tips of his hair. Then moving to his skin, I added a base layer of a neutral skin tone. For the chest, I didn't feel like masking off everything, so I airbrushed on as much as I could without getting too close to the edges, and then filled in the rest by painting by hand. Moving back to airbrushing, I used a fine tip airbrush to dial in some shading in all the muscle definition and shady areas with some brown. And then I cleaned up everything with a highlight layer. Once I was done airbrushing, I placed the faceplate back on the figure to make sure I got him looking in the right direction and marked it down. Then it was time to paint in his eyes, starting with the eyebrows. For the eye outlines, I decided to go with some black because it seemed to fit with his character a bit more, and in my mind, references his look in the manga. And I painted in his irises with some magenta to reference his look in Super Dragon Ball Heroes. While I cleaned up my line work and added some eye detail, friendly reminder to subscribe, and if you're curious about the items that I use in my videos, check the description. Everything is linked there as affiliate links, and if you buy anything through those links, it'll help support the channel without any additional cost from you. Once I finished up there, it was time to finish the figure. I sprayed on a matte clear coat to protect the figure and to give it a premium matte finish. In learning from Future Trunks last week, I decided to save painting the metallic silver ring for last to make sure there was a maximum amount of sheen. And all that was left to do was to put the figure back together. Here he is in all his glory, Super Saiyan 4 Rosé Goku Black. What a mouthful. Was his pink fur the right decision? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks to JP Fans for sponsoring today's video, and Harris Heller and Rifty Beats for the music. And most importantly, thanks to all my members. Leave a thumbs up and a comment, and make sure you subscribe so I can see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
素晴らしいな。